Sentinels are the infamous mutant-hunting robots in the Marvel Universe, and recently we got some new ones that we need to talk about. What's up, my comic comrades? Sentinels are easily one of the most well-known things in the X-Men universe, and there have been a number of iterations of them over the years. But today we're going to talk about two newer Sentinels that have been recently introduced in the Invincible Iron Man series and in Marvel's Fall of X. We also want to thank Fanhome for sponsoring this episode. They've got this dope new Ecto-1 kit that you guys need to see, but we'll talk more about that a little later. First and foremost, Sentinels are giant androids invented by X-Men villain Dr. Trask. Their sole purpose is to eliminate all mutants. These mechanical monsters were created by comic book legends Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, and first appeared in X-Men 14 in September of 1965. From their very first appearance, they were a massive threat to the X-Men. In X-Men issue 14, when Dr. Trask's orders wanted to capture Xavier, there was nothing Xavier, one of the most powerful mutants, could do, as his powers did not work on a mechanical brain, as he put it. Trask even says, "Do not be alarmed, my Sentinel is completely submissive to me. He will injure no one unless I command him to. He's but one of many such Sentinels I have created, each powerful enough to defeat any mutant under any set of circumstances." But right after this speech, wouldn't you know it, the Sentinels turn on Trask, at which point Professor Xavier says, "X-Men, Professor X calling, condition red, come at once." The X-Men, which still consisted of the original team's lineup, Cyclops, Jean, Beast, Iceman, and Angel, show up to battle the Sentinels. The crazy thing is, they don't even defeat all the Sentinels in their first bout. All but one get away with Dr. Trask, who they kidnapped. In the second issue, we'd be introduced to Master Mold, who Dr. Trask created to make all the Sentinels. But we realize Master Mold and the Sentinels want to use Trask to make more Sentinels to enslave the human race. As the Sentinels say, they can only guard the human race by becoming its master. Essentially, Trask's Sentinels that he created to defeat the mutants backfired on him, and now they want to enslave humanity and be its masters. But that's just a little backstory on the original Sentinels to get everyone up to speed on how they started. Since then, they have evolved greatly, and today we're going to talk about two of the newest incarnations, the Box Sentinels and Stark Sentinels. Alright, let's start off with the Box Sentinels, who first appeared in Alpha Flight issue 1 in August of 2023. That's right, these suckers are brand new. At the start of this brand new Alpha Flight series, which by the way is awesome to have another Alpha Flight series, we see Alpha Flight consisting of Guardian, Snowbird, Puck, and Shaman have just made a controversial decision, one that a lot of people will be mad about. We then see them attend some press conference with Erica Doran telling Canada, "I am the new head director of Department H. Although you may not have heard of us, we have been working for years to keep Canada safe from threats both on the ground and in the skies." She then tells the crowd the mutants are a growing threat. They can resurrect themselves from the dead, so no longer value life nor fear death. Mutants can travel from one destination to another thousands of kilometers away in the blink of an eye. It is because of this Canada has joined with the United States, because we have had enough. It is time to take a stand. At which point she says, "And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the newly reformed Alpha Flight, Canada's first line of defense against the mutant threat we face today." So essentially, Alpha Flight in Canada has turned on the mutants, going along with Orchis' propaganda that mutants are a threat to the US and the rest of the world. After this announcement, a good chunk of Canada calls Alpha Flight traitors, because remember, members of Alpha Flight were mutants like North Star and Aurora. Anyway, later that night at the Department H headquarters in Toronto, Erica takes Alpha Flight through the headquarters saying Alpha Flight isn't going to be enough to deal with the threats we're facing. No offense. So we restarted the box program with the assistance of Orchis. Once running, which should be any day now, each box will be able to track the location of rogue mutants via Orchis' proprietary tech. We'll no longer have to rely on civilian reports of known mutant locations. For those of you who don't know, Orchis is a covert organization and a buffet line of multiple enterprises like Strike, Sword, Armor, and more. They have collectively come together to prevent global X-gene mutant supremacy. She goes on to say, while Alpha Flight will always remain the face of this fight, the Box Sentinels should improve our projected efficiency by upwards of 570%. I believe most of you already know Roger Box Jr. She tells them Roger's running our Box program, building off his father's work, as his father is the one who created the Box program. His dad was a genius inventor inventing a robot named Box, hence the name Box program. He was also a member of Alpha Flight's training program, Beta Flight, so it seems like the son just picked up where his father left off and is now making the Box armor an advanced mutant hunting sentinel. In any case, Erica says, "Would you mind catching the team up on what you've been doing here, Roger?" He says, "Absolutely." Says, "Box Sentinels are sleeker and faster than those oversized Stark Sentinel monstrosities they're using down south. Don't worry, we're gonna get to those later." Roger goes on to say machines that would result in less property damage and ancillary loss are Box Sentinels can walk through doors, they don't have to smash through buildings. And as director Erica already mentioned, and thanks to Orcus's Sentinel programming, our new generation of boxes will be able to search out mutants where they hide. Pug then says this is very impressive really, but this all seems very authoritarian. Sending in robots to do our job, it's cold, using AI hasn't always gone great. Erica says our country is under siege, Puck, we're trying to use every tool at our disposal to save Canadian lives. You'll be working with box Sentinels as soon as they're ready for launch. It's not a decision, as she leaves. Roger then says, I understand the worry of the box Sentinels going rogue. You're not alone. That would be a nightmare situation. To prevent it, I've installed fail-safe mechanisms as part of their programming. I'll be at the command center able to take control when needed. The machines can only do what I allow them to do. The moment I feel they're acting outside of their programming or that something is wrong, I can shut them off. You have my word on that, with Guardian shaking the box Sentinel's hand saying, thanks Roger, I appreciate it. Your dad would be proud. Now the first issue was only out at the time of this video, but we still get a pretty good idea of what these box Sentinels are all about, and first and foremost, they're able to search out and find mutants where they hide, which is incredibly dangerous for all mutants. Second, they're just a little bit taller than the average human, meaning they're able to maneuver and get in and out a lot quicker than Stark Sentinels or standard Sentinels. It's going to be really cool to see these box Sentinels as the series continues. Inevitably, I feel like they're going to turn on Alpha Flight, as they made it a point to say, don't worry, there's a fail-safe, they won't turn on you, we got this. But with that said, earlier I mentioned Fanhome's dope Ecto-1 model kit. Check this bad boy out. Growing up, I was obsessed with Ghostbusters, and this Ecto-1 by today's sponsor, Fanhome, is freaking spot on. If the Fanhome name rings a bell, it's because we recently brought you their massive, full-scale, must-have Infinity Gauntlet, and today we get to drool over their killer Ghostbusters Ecto-1 ride. This faithful 1/8 scale reproduction is packed with insane detail and is designed to become the ultimate collector's item for Ghostbuster fans. The rotating lights illuminate and rotate along with the iconic Ghostbuster siren sound, and the Proton Pack storage stretcher can be removed from the luggage compartment. Bro, the brake lights even come on when the brake pedal is pressed. Come on. What's extra unique is that it's not your typical collectible. It's a Fanhome original model that you build yourself. With Fanhome subscription kit, each month they send you fresh model pieces as well as easy to follow assembly instructions. All subscribers also receive fun gifts during their subscription, like a t-shirt, cap, binder, and license plate. But don't take our word for it, check it out for yourself. Just click the link in our description, and while you're on their website, you gotta check out their other hot Marvel, Star Wars, and Transformers models too. The detail and quality are just incredible and so fun to assemble. Grab yours today and use our code VARIANT with the link in the description below. With that said, let's move on to the Stark Sentinels, who originally first appeared in 2014's Avengers and X-Men Axis 1. Essentially what happened back then is Tony Stark was under the influence of Red Skull, who essentially made him design Sentinels for him. Red Skull even used his powers to mess with Stark's memories so that he didn't even remember he made Sentinels. At this point, Red Skull would become Red Onslaught, and of course the Avengers showed up to stop him, but when they did, he let the Stark Sentinels loose on them. And said Sentinels were able to beat every hero but Iron Man, who was saved by villains led by Magneto. The Mark I Stark Sentinels were eventually defeated by a combined might of heroes and villains, but we've now got a more recent Stark Sentinel, the Mark II. The Mark II Stark Sentinels make their first appearance in Invincible Iron Man Volume 5, Issue 5 in April of 2023. Essentially what's going down is anti-mutant industrialist Felong is looking to take over Stark Unlimited, a think tank for future technologies founded by Tony Stark. This dude was able to secretly embed himself in the company like a tick, and then in secret manipulated and funneled its resources to make giant Sentinels based on Iron Man's armor technology. Long story short, once Felong publicly took control of the company, Iron Man started to investigate late one night at a Texas facility of Stark Unlimited, where he said to himself, it's tough being a man and a brand. I was not always proud of everything that carried the Stark name. I think sometimes that's the real reason I eschewed a secret identity. I wanted people to know it was me in the suit, putting my life on the line for them, trying to atone for my past success. He then makes his way into Stark Unlimited, ejects himself from his armor, saying, what the, oh god, as he sees a giant armored foot, saying to himself, as my eyes adjusted, I knew instantly that my worst fear was true. The days of killing machines bearing my name were back. Oh no. The dawn of Stark Sentinels was at hand, as he looks at a giant Stark Sentinel that is basically just a giant version of his armor. Felong then shoots him from behind, saying, what timing you have, Mr. Stark. That shot was from a crowd control drone we're going to be selling to police department. What do you think? Stark replies, I think you still don't know who you're messing with. Felong says, ironic, since I just completed a deep dive into you and your father. I discovered your true inheritance inheritance. Stark asks, what are you talking about? He says, you don't have my permission to crawl away yet. First thing you misunderstand about me, I didn't go to Mars to see your accomplishment. I went to see a human failure. You had it. You and the Avengers began to make that garden your own and just walked away from Mars. Stark replies, Earth needed us. Phelang then says, no it doesn't. It needs me. I learned so much from the messages that your father left. A fascinating theoretical discovery from an undiscovered piece of the periodic table. He could remake the world. He left clues to something wonderful. You'll learn my discovery when the rest of the world does. Remember, you're divested of everything. Haven't you wondered why I haven't simply killed you yet? I want you to be here, to witness me be the man you should have become. Then you may die or crawl back into the bottle of your choosing. Which is crazy because we all know that Iron Man has a past of being an alcoholic. Essentially, he wants to ruin Stark and be what he thinks Tony should have been. He even helps Tony back in his armor only to blast him back, then leaves him there, but says to his Sentinels, time for target practice. Deal with this threat. It's then activated, saying, obeying. Stark then fights a giant Stark Sentinel, saying, that was the night I found out what it's like to face a superior technology. I felt so small. My first encounter of the Stark Sentinels went about as well as anyone could have expected. An Iron Man armor at this scale isn't just bigger, it's more powerful. Its hide is thicker. Tony then does the only thing he can do, and that's run away. He says, I'm doing the math in my head. I know I cannot win this fight. Sentinels with Iron Man advancements represent a leap forward that is beyond my current technology. As Phelang says, disengage Sentinel, run Tony, tell the world what's coming. We will see which of us the world will cheer. So that's kind of crazy. Essentially, the Stark Sentinel is a giant Sentinel with Iron Man advancements, basically being a giant Iron Man suit. This is going to be a real problem, and it's also kind of great. It's one of those things that makes all the sense in the world. Sure, we've already seen this a few years back with the Mark 1s, but this one seems way more threatening. But there you have it, friends, 2 brand new Sentinels in the Marvel Universe. You can currently keep up with them in the Alpha Flight series, the Fall of X event, and in the current Invincible Iron Man series. It's going to be a ton of fun seeing what these Sentinels are really capable of when in action. But with that said, which Sentinel do you like more, the Box Sentinel or the Stark Sentinel? And are you excited to keep getting new versions of Sentinels? Let us know down in the comments. Other than that, we'll see you next time when we talk about all things comics.